Peace and love, family. It's your girl, Sixthegoddis. And keep in mind, I'm a goddess and I'm sensitive about my shift. So by now, I know y'all have all seen this Dr. Umar interview going around with a YouTube channel with a group of brothers called the Daily Wrap Up Crew. Shout out to them. So I've been seeing these clips everywhere. They've been all over TikTok, all over Instagram, all over YouTube. And I'm like, wow, everyone has sent them to me. And so I have some, I think it's like a segment of the interview. I think it was a 2-part interview. And I have a segment here queued up that seems to be pretty controversial. And so we're going to look at it and we're going to go ahead and break it down. Let me share this and let's just get right into it. Lord, let us pray. Now, let me just say this before. I like Dr. Umar, okay? I think he's funny. I think he's brilliant as well. In this conversation, in this video, I want us to strictly focus on the facts, which is that he is a psychologist, okay, and is very fluent in Black history across the U.S. and the diaspora. We are not going to take that from him. I think a lot of times we don't agree with the way people go about things or the timeline on the way people do things. And we're trying to discredit, all of their knowledge. We're not doing that here. We're going to go straight from the fact this is someone who is educated and licensed to speak on this field. And we're going to take that for face value. So don't be in the comments talking about where's the school? Where's the school? Pay attention to the message. Y'all be worried about the wrong things, stuff that ain't your business. Okay. We are not here for that. We're just going to focus on the interview. Okay.
Black women to view Black men as the enemy.
It has. Feminism was financed by the CIA. Gloria, what was her name? Gloria Steinem, I think she was.
Right, yeah.
Mother of modern feminism, because traditional feminism goes back to the 1800s, right? With Susan B. Anthony and those white supremacists. But Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent. They financed her. Her first feminist magazine they paid for. The CIA brought feminism into the white household to get the woman out the house and into the Black household to turn the Black woman against the Black man. To scapegoat us for problems caused for her by white supremacy.
So, obviously, a big thing, obviously, speaking of that, I've seen a video of yours where you said that feminism has conditioned Black women to view Black men as the enemy.
It has. Feminism was financed by the CIA. Gloria, what was her name? Gloria Steinem, I think she was.
Right, yeah.
Mother of modern feminism, because traditional feminism goes back to the 1800s, right? With Susan B. Anthony and those white supremacists. But Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent. They financed her. Her first feminist magazine they paid for. The CIA brought feminism into the white household to get the woman out the house and into the Black household to turn the Black woman against the Black man. To scapegoat us for problems caused for her by white supremacy.
So, obviously, a big thing, obviously, we spoke about the gender wars, earlier. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation nowadays about, the value of what a woman brings and the value of what a man brings in a relationship. And now there's a lot more rhetoric from our women that we hear is, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, right? So,
that's pain speaking, though.
Right.
Because most Black women know they will never get a man. A Black woman can have sex whenever she wants.
Right.
Because she's beautiful. She can have a bed mate, but to have a soul mate, she may never get. I have 2 daughters, 11 and 20, right?
And that I go ahead and I will say I agree with that part right there. I've always felt like when women sit there, you've been with that man for 20 years, you don't have 3-4 kids with that man, and then they be out here talking about not everyone wants to be married. That is 100% a defense mechanism, 100% cap. It's no different than that man that's broke, okay? And then you roll out with a new Rolls Royce and he talking about, I saw that, but I ain't really like it. Baby, you could never afford it, okay? Don't matter if you liked it or not, baby. It was never in your budget. Okay, so it's the same thing with women. There are some women who feel like they'll never get a man to get down on one knee with a ring and ask them to marry them. So they act like they don't want it. And the truth is, like he said, you just know that you're never getting it. And a lot of women deep down inside, they know that they ain't no good and know they would never be any good to be the woman of a man's life. So they rather just tap out and not participate as opposed to playing the game and losing. I see that every day. That part I agree with. That's big facts. Big hurt.
Right? My oldest would be 21 this week. Statistically, right? There's a strong chance my daughter could be one of those. I hope she's not. She could be one of those who never get a husband because only 1 out of 4 gets a husband. You see that?
And you know what the sad part about that is he's probably right. She probably won't, because 9 times out of 10, women follow the path of their mother and the dysfunctions of their mother, whether they like it or not, whether they mean to or not. This is why getting to know your ancestors and the women that you came from and connecting with them, getting their guidance is very important, because she'll probably get married just like you never married her mom. So more than likely it won't happen. It's very low chances it will, because she'll probably follow the same path that her mom did. So it's kind of weird to me when men, talk like this, because it's like, you the one that got to go by the ring and get on one knee. You ain't do that, then I don't, that part is confusing to me, but okay.
So when a Black woman says, I don't need a man, that is a reaction to the reality that I may not get a man.
So why not preach? Because I understood, you're obviously against interracial relations when it comes to Black men with Black women. With white women.
With all women, you should only be with the Black woman.
And you will say, well, if you can't find a good woman in America, there's
somewhere else.
In
Absolutely.
Africa. So why not teach that same rhetoric to our women? Like,
I do.
If you feel
I
like
tell sisters all the time, go to Africa. So I know sisters who marry. I just spoke with her sister. She invited me to the wedding. She just married a brother from the continent.
No, that's big facts. I be saying the same thing. It's okay to have these conversations like, Black women this, Black women that, but things cannot be imbalanced. You can't, every time you're having a conversation about what Black men need to do, you cannot constantly be like, well, what about Black women? It's just counterproductive. Let the women counsel the women, let the men counsel the men. I'm with that 100%. Okay. I have seen him 1,000 times speak about not swirling, whether it's man or woman. I know I have spoke about it. I'm not with the swirl, man, woman, or whatever. I think all Black people are too picky. I think we all ain't ish. We all traumatized. We all got PTSD. And I think relationships in 2023 is about putting all that out on the table and figuring out who you can get through life with in spite of y'all traumas. Make sure you get with someone where your traumas aren't toxic to each other, or your traumas ain't feeding one another. To me, that's what it's about. We're way more aware now. Back in the day, we just had issues going on and everyone just fought through it and argued through it. We're at this new stage where we understand about mental illness, personality disorders. So we got to start moving a little bit different. But for me, I've always been on that preference, and I always agree with that, is that the women ain't got no business swirling, and neither do the men. We got to stop with this blame game of like, it's all the man fault, it's all the women fault. Like, it's so old. It's old and tired.
So, but instead of saying they will never get married,
I'll take sisters to Africa who married brothers they met in Africa.
Right.
So yeah,
I think there's plenty. I think there's obviously plenty of Black men,
yes,
Black women. So
and what I also
saying
tell
that they
Black
will never
women,
get
if
married,
you're going to go get you an African man from the continent,
right,
you're going to have to understand that the way in which you talk to Black men in America will not be tolerated over there.
Why the fuck is it tolerated? It's not tolerated here. That's what we're trying to tell them.
Well, over here, I want to say this to us though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The Black woman.
Now this is the part I don't agree with that. I think that you're a grown woman. I think you're a grown adult. And I think that you need to know how to address people with respect. I'm not about to be disrespected by no woman and have her tell me, well, the system, I don't want to hear none of that, baby. You ain't gonna come over here talking crazy. I got something for that if you want to. Please do not give these women an out to be walking around disrespecting people, talking sideways out their neck, talking about, well, the Black man in the system. Like, don't even put them in that direction, because you give them an inch to take them out. No, you a grown woman, control yourself, act like you got some sense, period. Nobody got time. Everybody got their own problems. Nobody wants to. This is what we fail to realize. Everyone has their issues. It's a matter of containing them. It's a matter of making sure that the issues hurting you are not hurting other people around. That's when it becomes a problem. Everybody got their own problems. Nobody has time for you to sit and tell them about how Well, I've had these traumas and I've had these problems. So that's why I act that way. Baby, I got my own problems and traumas too. The key is not letting your wounds bleed out onto other people, not letting your problems hurt others. You got your problems, you deal with that yourself like everybody else needs to. Nobody else should have to carry the burden of your issues. So we got to stop giving women this out, talk about, oh, well, you know, it's partially our fault. There should be nothing another human being can do to get you to be talking out your neck sideways to no grown man for no reason. Period. I don't care about the system or what have it. It don't matter. Like, talk to people with some respect.
Has had to hold down the Black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of Black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be your man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back. I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, Black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality.
Now, I'm not going to say I think that the men created that personality. That's why in my teaching, I just teach women to be self-sufficient when it comes to their happiness, their emotions, and their well-being. I'll never give someone else the power to say, oh, you made me be this way. You made me. No one can penetrate your emotions in that way unless you allow it, whether consciously or subconsciously. So I don't believe in just giving up my power like, oh, you made me feel that way. You know, I don't like the way that sounds. I don't like the way that make me feel. It just sounds like a lack of accountability. It sounds like lack of responsibility for yourself. You know, I don't know about that. But what I will say is for myself, this is why a big part of why I do what I do is because that is the case for many women. You were raised by a single mom. You've had to fight for your life. That is where most Black women are. This is why they need other Black women who have been through those things to counsel them on how to move past that, how to heal from that, how to kind of reclaim your femininity, reclaim your womanhood and your softness after that. This is why we don't need all the women. You were raised with your mom and dad in the suburb with a white picket fence. Congratulations. But you cannot help Black women who have that opposite story, which is the case for many of us. And that does not mean that you just get left for dead. It means your healing journey is going to look a little bit different. Okay. But you will be healed nonetheless. This is the reality of most Black women. Yes. Abandonment, neglect. That's what you got to work with. You have to figure out how to pull yourself up by your stiletto pumps to get back in touch with your womanhood and your softness.
We created that, and then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course you're going to end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as Black men are not raising Black boys to be the men that our women need. We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed Black males, what we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it? Black men are not raising Black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying is she got a right to be angry with us. She got a right to be angry with us. We have not been on our job as Black men. If the men are the providers, what have we been providing for our community? I'm not speaking you individually.
Yes.
Because you may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. But guess what? What are we doing for the community? What are we doing for the children who don't have a father? You don't think the Black woman got a right to be angry when she's been raising 2/3 of the kids by herself?
Now, that part I agree and I disagree with. Now, what I will say is now he's speaking my language. Yes, men need to be talking about the things that are in your lane. We need to stop having men talking so much about the women. Baby, the women, we got this, okay? We have enough women in these spaces that we can, talk to one another. We're good, thank you. Now, this is what I'm talking about. That is what the men need to be worried about. Worry about your sons. Worry about your sons. Worry about keeping your community safe. I can't tell you how many times we have conversations about, why you as a man, Why are you friends with a man who has abandoned his children? Why are you friends with a man who's a deadbeat? Why can a man be a deadbeat father, neglect his children, but still get dapped up in the hood, dapped up in the club, talking about big bruh, hey boss? Why is there not some type of disfellowshipping system where if there's a man who is neglecting his children, that he's refused to have access to the network, have access to his brothers? And there's 100 excuses every single time. Well, I don't really know if he a deadbeat. I don't really know. You know, you don't hung out with him 3 times this week. He ain't never been with them kids, called them kids, or nothing like that. Nothing is ever his fault. Everything his baby mama fault. Everyone out to get him. You know damn well who is a deadbeat in your circle and who is not. Why is there not some kind of disfellowshipping setup for your friends you know that are looking at and dealing with underage girls? You see what I'm saying? That's what many be worried about. Because I do agree with Umar. There shouldn't be so many Pookies. Okay, those boys who are abandoned by their father, your homeboy, were you in the club with him popping bottles, knowing he ain't seen his child in 2 months, knowing he ain't paid no child support, knowing he's not active in his child's life, that child that he's neglecting is the one that's going to grow up and have that fire to your head talking about, give me your wallet, give me your car. So this is why it's always our business. We got to get out this thing of, oh, it's not my business. I can't speak on it. It's not your business until that same child is the one kicking your door in. I'm with him on this. This one-sided thing about Black women is this and Black women broke apart the family and Black women is tired. Can we please get some accountability on both sides where both sides are dropping the ball? So that I agree with. There shouldn't be so many Pookies. There shouldn't be so many bad options. And those Pookies and bad options are brought on by absent fathers. Most absent fathers are brought on by regret. Okay, you knocked the chick down and you regret it. Now you want no parts of the seed that came from it. It don't work like that. We got to start getting back to a no-nonsense policy. You made that baby, you take care of it. I don't care if you don't like the mama, that's your fault. No, you had to go through 100 steps to impregnate that woman. Okay, a woman, you remember that lady in Arizona that was in a coma and ended up giving birth in a coma? A woman can literally just sit like this, and as long as she has a pulse, she can produce a child. For a man, you have to get an erection, you have to penetrate, you have to stroke, you have to ejaculate. There are so many steps before people can get to your seed. Okay, so I'm tired of hearing about how you ain't fight for your children, you weren't in your children's life because of the mama. Well, tell you the same thing you tell women. You should have picked better. You picked her. You shot that club up, baby. Deal with it. I think if we start having a more no-nonsense approach on both sides, we'll get further. But all these excuses are just, I'm over it. I'm over
50 years? And the minute she raised her voice, we say she's not humble enough. She had to become masculine to survive the rape, the molestation, the domestic abuse. Are you telling me you can't see how we created that?
I understand that, but she needs to be more
If we was loving
selective.
our women and taking care of our women, do you think she would be like that? That personality has a history.
If she's picking Pookie and Ray Ray instead of
you're making her a scapegoat.
No, she's picking a scapegoat.
No.
There's good quality men that they ignore.
Why she even got it? Why is there even a Pookie in the selection?
You gotta ask her that.
No. I'm gonna tell you why there's a Pookie in the selection.
What?
Because Black men have abandoned Black boys and have allowed social media, white media, athletes, and rappers to raise them. That's why she with Pookie. If we never allow,
this is the biggest of the biggest facts. Okay, I believe in looking at the foundation of things. I don't like looking at things on the surface level. Look at the foundation of things. Okay, let's look at the root cause of it. Okay, when you see these girls talking about, oh, she picked the Pookie, subconsciously, what that really is she wants a man she feels safe with. When you see these young girls talking about, oh, she picked the Pookie, look at the bigger picture. Her father is not there. She watched her mother be uncovered, watch her mother be unprotected. She feel vulnerable. Yes, she's going to tend to go for the Pookie because the Pookie make her feel safer. You have that young boy going around robbing people, stealing, and you just label him like, oh, he a Pookie. Oh, he a Ray Ray. No, he's hurting. No, he feels pressured that his father is around. He watching his mother struggle. His mother's stressed out, talking to him crazy, emasculating her because she overwhelmed, and he want to go rob to help his family. We got to stop looking at these kids and what they do and just shaming them. We should be ashamed for shaming these young folks on the decision that they make and just blowing them off to fast little girls and pookies. No. Kids don't just decide to take those routes in life. It's always a reason behind it. I'm with him on that.
Allow Pookie to develop, she would not have a Pookie. If we're going to be men, the first thing we got to do is take responsibility for why our women feel the way they feel.
I can hear that.
I'm not saying that they're right to disrespect, because even if a woman disrespects me, right, that still don't give me a right to disrespect her, because she's still the queen of the community. Even if she's not acting like it, I'm going to give her that respect. But when I hear brothers talk like this discourse we having now, we act like we don't understand.
No,
I know he lying. Child, please. You saying all that, baby, you must ain't seen a real disrespectful hyena before. Okay, so now you lost me on that. That right there is part of the problem. All this that they can be out here acting unruly, acting a fool, and so I'm gonna still respect you, mother of the earth. No, that is a grown adult. Okay, there is no queen, mother, shea butter queen. No, absolutely not. Don't be out here. Ain't no you disrespect me, I still respect you. No, at least not for me. Y'all know me. Y'all know my motto. You go low, I go underground. So you lost me with that one.
There's reasons for that shit.
I do understand. Women are so valuable. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think women ground men and help them, propel to the next level. I think men get further in life with a woman, right? But if I'm a hardworking man, but I'm only looked at as resources,
okay,
and then she's ready to jump on Tom, Dick, and Harry because he got flash, he's shine.
It's very strange to me when men talk about how, all she look at me as is resources. I always wonder, like, what does that mean? Does that mean that you want to be looked at as a bad bitch? Like, do you want to be valued for your personality and the way you make people feel? I think that's super weird. Like, that's like a woman being like, oh, like, you like me because I'm pretty, or, oh, you like me because I can cook. I mean, yeah, that's a big part of it. Like, have you ever seen an ugly woman that can't cook, can't clean? My God, like, what purpose do you solve? Like, what purpose are you? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why do we all have this concept about being like, helpful to someone? Like, why do we fight what our real value is? A man should never want to be valued for the fact that he's pretty or that he's nice. If we have a bunch of men walking around talking about how nice their personality are, how nice they are, and it's not about their resources, what they can produce, we are screwed. We ain't got time for a bunch of men trying to make their value be on how great your personality is. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. We don't. Okay, so it's cringe to me when I hear men be like, you value me for my resources. Duh. That's the number one first place to start. Because if you don't have the resources, it don't matter how good your personality is or how bad of a bitch you are. It don't matter. Yes. Can you produce? Yes. How can you contribute to society? How can you contribute to the family? You're a grown man. You're a grown man. We don't just need you out here farting and knocking stuff over. Yes. What value do you bring outside of you got a great inside and a great personality? No. So that's weird to me. It's weird when men do it to me, and it's weird when women do it to me. Like, please take pride in the value you bring according to your gender. Please. Like, it's not that serious. Thank you.
Shining a little bit more. His access to money is quicker than mine. It's kind of hard to have that.
Well, no, one, I agree with you, but that's not all sisters.
No, it's not.
If you're constantly running into that type of woman, then the problem is you, because you're attracting a certain low vibrational energy. Why
not have that same energy for women? You just again, you have
because
the man
we having a conversation as men.
Yeah,
I agree with him when he say that's the kind of women you're attracting. Because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, if y'all want that woman who doesn't value you for your resources, good luck. Normally, that's a woman that's low-hanging fruit in her masculine energy. Smart women respect and, yes, value the resources, the help, the provision that men bring to the table. Trust me, fellas, you want a woman to respect you based on that first. You don't want a woman who's like, your money and if you can provide for me doesn't matter. I just want you for you. Those are the women who will divorce, talking about I'm not happy. Those are the live, laugh, love. Those are women who tend to be more masculine. And basically what she's saying when she's like, it's not about your resources. She basically saying, I'm on what you want, sweetie. Please don't think you getting Miss Feminine and submissive over here. I'm going to say and do what I want to do. So I don't want to base this off of, I don't want to even acknowledge that you need to be valued for your resources. I know what that means. It means submission. Okay. It means you got to be the leader. So when women refuse to acknowledge that in you, it's not about that. That's a setup, y'all. So I agree with Umar saying, if you're going after women that you want them to feel like he's more than just his resources, you're going to end up in a bad position every time. That is masculine mandy. Okay. Like a woman should want a man that values her femininity, her beauty, her housekeeping skills first. And as a man, yes, you should value a woman who values your resources, your provision, your leadership skills first before your personality or the fact that you're cute. You know, and this guy here is super annoying how everything Umar says, he's like, but what about the women? It's giving raised by a single mom. It's giving feminine energy. I know like it. And Umar is like, listen, we are grown men here having conversation. Let's talk about the men, period. Why is that so hard to get? You know, I know that that's what they're used to on the Alpha podcast. 4 or 5 grown men complaining about how women wear their hair, complaining about how women dress, what women, their makeup. How is that helping anything? I agree with Umar on this. A bunch of grown men sitting around. Yes, talk about the men. Talk about what you could do. Talk about the solutions. Yes, let's move in that direction. I'm all here for this.
I got plenty of interviews with all women where I check them too.
All right.
But as a man, you should not be concerned about what I say to them. No, as men, we should be concerned of what we're going to do to produce a better generation of black males for tomorrow. That's the only, that is where we should be focusing.
Women bring the choice of life, right? We understand that, right? I can't have a child unless a woman agrees.
And she can't carry one if you didn't put it in her.
I agree with that 100% too, right? But whether or not, if you want that child or not, she can still make that decision. It's only up to her.
If you don't put a seed in her, nothing else happens. And no woman can make you put a seed in her. So the original act was the responsibility of a man.
True. I mean,
all right. So
I agree with that because I'm tired of the, you know, if it's me speaking to women and only women, I will tell women 1,000 times, you have a baby, that's your baby. Understand that. Okay. And we're talking about the after, you know, after it's all been said and done. But 100%, I don't like how we do have this thing that where it's like having children is just the women's fault. I agree with Umar. Do you know how much it takes? How much it takes for you to impregnate a woman? It takes a lot. There is no such thing as accidentally getting a woman pregnant. There is no such thing as that. Okay, you know when it's coming. You know contraceptive practices. So we got to stop this thing as though women just out here having babies and trapping men, and like the man just, no, please don't. Like, stop it. Both parties complied. Why only one party get the blame? I'm so glad we're moving out of that era into the double accountability, both sides. I am so happy. I see this slowly. We're slowly getting there, finally.
Did black men willingly leave the household, or was it the system that was?
It was systemic.
All right. So how, if we giving them grace for them having to do it without us, but it wasn't our fault, how are we not getting that same grace and that same respect?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why. Because black men, as the leaders of the community, now
we can't be leaders.
Here's the question we got to make. Here's the question. Because the argument y'all make,
See, you've already lost as a man when the minute that you're asking women for the permission to lead them. It's not your job as a man to lead all black women. It's your job as a man to lead your black woman and your black daughters. Okay, so as a man, you're always going to psych yourself out and have a defeatist attitude if you look at this as, oh my God, I have to go in here and I have to lead all these women. No, you got to lead the women under your name, under your castle. But you put a spell on yourself as a man when someone brings up your leadership and the first thing you say is the women are not going to let that happen. This is where we have gone wrong. I have other content I'm going to be doing this week speaking on how there are a lot of men who are afraid to speak up about women, who are afraid to check women, who are afraid to tell women the truth. And to me, that is one of the biggest problems that face us in 2023 is that men are afraid of women. They're afraid to puff their chest out, say it with their chest, and say what needs to be said. They pussyfooting, beating around the bush, being passive aggressive. That's an issue. We got too many men now who are worried about looking like the bad guy to women. If you are a man who is afraid of looking like the bad guy to a woman, I'm glad that you went ahead and threw the towel and said that you're not going to be the leader, because you would be a terrible one. To be a good leader, you got to make tough decisions that people are not going to agree with sometimes. You have to be willing to be the villain, and you cannot care whether people like you or not. That is a good leader. To be able to see the bigger picture, make decisions, even when the people who are following you may not understand. And they'll see in the long run you made that right decision. But fellas, please stop putting spells on yourself where the minute you're having a conversation about your leadership as man, the first thing you talk about is whether or not the women will allow it.
Feeds into the feminist agenda.
Okay.
It's an argument that says, I don't want the responsibility.
I'm a leader.
I don't want to fix shit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fall back and let her run everything. That's what the feminists tell. They say, look at them, making excuses for why they can't be better men, making excuses for why they can't make better men. You understand? Your argument feeds the feminist narrative.
That's
not
dangerous. That's not what we're making excuses for.
I'm saying I am the better man, but I shouldn't be held responsible because you wanted to choose a Pookie and a Ray Ray. That's not me. I worked too hard in my life. I'm going to go back to what
I said. Pookie and Ray Ray shouldn't exist. And the only reason why Pookie and Ray Ray exist because we're not in the community making those boys the men they need to be. Do you see that? And she don't get a Pookie if you didn't allow a Pookie.
I was just in Jamaica this past weekend, and they have different attractions. And what I found most interesting was that all the men who were working, they had them youth in the pitney with them. And the pitney them, the wee lad here, sir, out there in the sun, in the hot, working with the men. Okay. So I do agree that's something that we have got to incorporate here in America. Too many times I'm like, where are your sons? Where are the boys watching the men work? I'm talking about them youth was no more than maybe 5-6 years old doing manual labor in the hot sun. Okay. I agree. Yes. I like to have young girls and put them under my wing and teach them about their bodies, about themselves, about their upkeep, their hygiene. They need to be around grown Black women in their natural essence, in their natural beauty. They need to learn how to cultivate that. So as Black women, yes, we need to have our nieces, our mentees around us. They need to be around your energy. And it's the same with the men. Them boys should be out there with y'all. Why is your son with your baby mama? Why he not with you? Okay, why is he at your mama's house? No, we have to start normalizing Black American boys getting to work early alongside the father and the men in their community, watching them get up and work 100%.
But she got an Eli. She ain't come to Eli. She went to Pookie, and that's what we're trying to say.
She wouldn't have had a Pookie if we didn't allow one.
Hard in my life.
She wouldn't have had a.
I also want to say this. I think that women spend way too much time policing men's preferences. And we're getting to this place where I think men are spending way too much time policing women's preferences. Every time I turn around, I see a man crying and complaining about how somebody picked a Pookie. Worry about the woman that wants you. Stop being upset that you're going after a certain woman and she rejected you. Now you spend the rest of your life with this tired ass recycled talking point about, well, she ain't want me. She wanted Pookie. Just stop. Nobody gotta like you. Y'all be, I'm gonna show her, I'm gonna get successful. I'm gonna show her that she still don't want you. She don't like you. Ladies, y'all have seen that. Man, he come up, glow up, start looking good, get some money, and be like, yeah, I know you want me now. No, I don't. I just never liked you. I don't like you. So please, fellas, who cares? Stop. I'm tired of y'all crying all the time about, well, she picked Pookie. She ain't picked me. Oh, well, that ain't the girl for you then. What the hell? Attraction is mutual. You just because you like someone don't mean they gotta like you back. Everybody ain't gonna like you. I'm tired of it. Well, she picked Pookie. Oh my God. Who cares? Worry about who like you.
Pookie, if we didn't allow one.
But Dr. Umar, we
men supposed to make the raise the boys.
Right. We as men, let's holding other men accountable for the same thing that you talking about right now.
What are we doing for the young brothers in the street? So
what you mean, mentoring them? No, I mean he's a great father.
Mm-hmm. I ain't talking about that's individual. That's good, but that's individualism. Yeah. What are we doing collectively as men to change the trajectory for black boys in the streets right now?
I
Nothing.
We're being
talking shit.
Yeah, I mean, you could take it.
It's not going to get better unless we put hands on deck. The reason the athletes and the rappers are the role models is the professional black man moved out the hood. Where the dentist at? He ain't in the black community no more. Where the lawyer at? Where the business owner at? Where your city council person at? We abandon black boys, and then we blame black men for poor choices in mates that they should not even have to make if we did a better job raising our boys the right way. At the end of the day, if I'm gonna call myself a man, the ultimate responsibility for reconstruction of the black community rests with me. Yes.
Now, you can say what you want to say. You can do what you want to do, but what he's saying is the truth. Okay. The man as the leader means you get all the praise when things go right. And you get all the blame when things go bad. When you're the leader, everything is your fault, even when it's not. If you're not willing to do that, then it is best to go ahead and, let that title go. But see, this is where we tend to want to have it both sides, where it's like, I'm the leader. Oh, but you ain't listening to me. So the leader keeps going. Okay, whether you listen, whether you follow, that's on you. Everyone have their own free will, but the leader don't stop leading based upon the people following them. Okay, so yeah, when you have a group of men sitting around almost speaking as though these issues are out of their control, again, it brings us back into that defeatist energy. At the reality of it all, at the foundation of it, that is the truth. Everything is the man's fault, and real men will tell you that. When it comes to real men, masculine men, you cannot get them to blame anyone but themselves when things go bad. And he's always looking for a solution. So when you have a bunch of men like, oh, the women ain't listening, she picked Pookie, it is the biggest sign of I've given up my manhood. You can never give up your manhood. I don't care what happens or if people ain't responding the way that's never an option. And I would like for us to get to that place where we understand that and stop blaming black women for everything.
Yes, they have a role. Yes, they have responsibility. But as a man, as a leader, to say I can't fix this shit unless she changes, that's not the definition of a man.
I don't see. I think we're on two different accords. Like, I don't think we're saying that. What I'm saying is I'm capable of being that leader, that provider. I've worked hard in my life. You get what I'm saying? I should not have to do.
You still go back to individualism.
But I only feel like we tell black men that we have to now deal with masculine women with children.
Why is she masculine? Because she's had to raise the kids alone. Not one woman, brother. A whole community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I could look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men?
No.
That's what I have to look forward to?
But I'm telling you, mistakes made by black men systemically gave rise to the conditions that allowed her to be masculine and made her end up with a man that you consider to be less than what he should be. And I'm telling you, black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children. When I say help them raise them children, I don't mean you as the stepdad. I mean you as an active member in the community where we go to every single parent black mother and say, how many sons you got? 2? How many sons you got? 2? Well, guess what? That's your son's big brother. That's your son's big brother. He taking him to school. He doing the homework. He gonna spend a couple hours with him every Saturday. He got his own kids too, but he gonna make time for you. She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence.
No, I don't agree with that. I believe your femininity is your own responsibility. You should be feminine whether you single, married, old, young, fat, skinny. Your femininity is always available to you. If your femininity is conditional upon ideal circumstance and environment, it's going to be up and down. It's going to be a roller coaster. And the more in and out you are of your femininity, the more chaotic it gets and the harder it gets to get back into it. I suggest you take life by the horns. I suggest you go ahead and put your big girl panties on and come to death row. Okay. And go ahead and make it your own responsibility, period. Okay. You have to stop this thing of, oh, you know, well, you didn't do that, so I had to be masculine. No, nope, don't work that way.
The disappointments that men had in their life, and also raising those kids and have to take care of herself all at the same time. The Black woman has been the be all in all in our community for half of a century. And now we want to turn around and say because she didn't do it perfectly enough or remain feminine enough when she had to absorb our responsibilities plus her own, that's insensitive and disingenuous.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, I guess I understand what you're saying.
I'm not taking
you
nothing
have
back from
yet
that.
to tell me something that we've done systemically to combat that. Because you keep saying me and her. I don't care about me and her.
But there's plenty
women and men. Women and men as a group in the community. You understand?
Right.
We gave birth to that. You see? So you say she had a couple kids already because she met men. She probably thought they was good. Some of them, they left her.
She knew they wasn't good.
You don't know that, bro.
She knew they wasn't good.
You're making assumptions about her. Would you make the same assumption if she was a white woman?
Yes, I would.
So you say.
No,
come on, man. Nah, come on.
Listen,
woman accountable.
So you say.
Listen, like I said, I feel like as a Black man,
we don't hold them all accountable because Black men date outside their race more than every other man put together.
I said we.
Y'all three.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't disprove that because I don't know you personally.
Even that,
but
if we look at the numbers, Black men marry Black women at an 87% rate, where Black women marry outside of their race, or they marry outside at a 92%.
Black women do not. No, you're wrong.
That's percentages of
you're wrong.
That's not that much.
Black women do not marry out the race more than Black men.
I'm not saying that. But the percentages ain't that far off. That's
Black
what I'm saying.
women have one of the highest, fastest growing interracial marriage rates. But her interracial marriage rate pales in comparison to what Black men have been doing interracially for 4 or 5 decades. You understand? She don't even come close to what we're doing interracially.
Black fathers are in the home more than any other group or race.
Okay. But what
that has no value?
It does have value, but we're going to put that up against the other statistic. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. And like I said, when I say being raised, I'm not saying there needs to be a father. I would like a father in that house, but I know it's not enough of us to go around.
Yeah.
We are not even being accountable to the boys in the hood. And we're complaining about the women.
I argue with women
who are making babies with the irresponsible men that we didn't raise correctly. That's bullshit.
All right.
That's wimp ass weak man shit. Take responsibility for our shit. Stop scapegoating them.
Yeah, I could agree to that.
All I'm saying is look at all we can be doing better, man. Half the Black boys in the 4th grade can't read. What Black men doing about that systemically?
Not enough.
I know what I'm doing about it. I'm building a school for it, 2 of them.
Mhm.
But systemically, as Black men, what are we doing about that? Nothing. Black boys are the most unemployed teenager in America. What Black men doing about that?
Not
See, the Pookie and Ray Ray you kept talking about? We letting them raise right before our eyes, and then we want to criticize her for ending up with one when we should have made sure there were none.
Listen, we all got.
So this is the other side of the everything is Black women's fault that we're not ready for. We're not ready for this side of the conversation. We're not ready to draw those lines based upon what each gender need to be more worried about. Okay, we got the women policing the men, worried about where they stick their peen and who they have kids with and what they do. You worry about the wrong thing, baby. You need to be worried about the fact that you're obese. You need to be worried about the fact that your debt to income ratio is high. You need to be worried about the fact that you got the most evictions, the highest infant mortality rate, baby. You need to worry about them fibroids. You need to worry about that PCOS. Like, women be worried about these men. I be like, girl, you 300 pounds, honey. You got bigger problems, no pun intended. Same with the men. We don't need you worried about how women speak, how they wear their hair, baby. Please worry about these boys over here, stealing your cars, kicking your dough in. Please worry about why your baby mama got to have your child in shootouts in the hood because she can't afford no income because your child don't live with you. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all ain't get married and you ain't make a better decision. Like, every gender has bigger problems than worrying about what the other person is doing or other side is doing. And I think that's why these guys are so taken aback by Umar, because we don't never really have these conversations. Everything is Black women in the community, Black women with the partner, Black women, and we're just not having the other side of those conversations anymore. And it's weird to me how even once we do, all the men like, well, the women, can we for once? Let's have a conversation about the other side. It cannot be one-sided and so imbalanced. Like, can we just
a choice? Just like if I choose to live a
You're
lifestyle,
dealing with individualism again. I can't
but that's
deal with
part
that.
of choices.
No, it's not. We have to deal with this systemically. He brought up a question earlier, and he said, did we make these problems on our own, or was there some systemics involved? It was systemics.
Okay.
In 1970, they shut down the factories. They took out the industrial building jobs. 1980, dropped off the crack and the AIDS. 1990, the Bill Clinton crime bill. There's systemic factors at play. You totally divorce your analysis from any systemic factors at all. You ain't mentioned one. You can be talking about her and Pookie and Ray Ray with the kids. You ain't say shit about the systemics. That's exactly what white folks want you to do. That's what white folks want you to do.
I'm saying that
ignore
I have made
what I've done to your women and scapegoat her. Because that's what she's doing to you. She's ignoring what the system did to you. And she's going to scapegoat you.
And
that is big old facts. That's why I cringe so hard when black women talk about how old black men are broke, black men are conquered. Sweetie, do you know what we are recovering from? Okay, I'm not going to sit here and compare, oh, other men got this and black men don't have that. Baby, please pay attention to the system. Please pay attention to our history and how we got here. It's not the same. Okay, we have a lot that we are trying to come back from. And so I always encourage sisters to be realistic. That's why some women get mad at me when I try to tell them, listen, baby, y'all being unrealistic. If y'all think y'all finna meet a man and he gonna pay all the bills and buy you a Chanel bag and a new car, and it's not gonna happen. Okay, the average black man lucky to make 50 grand a year. It's just not gonna happen, baby. You're gonna have to contribute a little bit, especially if you're not all that cute. You're gonna have to have a job. I try to manifest a journey for women, not just the end result. Let's manifest a journey. What it's gonna look like to get a partner. Okay, let's really talk about it. We have got to be more realistic about the system, about our history, and why and how we ended up in certain places. I agree with that 100%. And it goes the same on the other side as well. It's very insulting to people like myself and countless others that grew up without their father in the home. It's very insulting to say that black women chose not to have fathers in the home. That is simply not true. And I think it's insulting, especially when the main people walking around talking about, oh, black women took families at the home, were raised with their mom and dad. And we have to get out this space where you're speaking from your personal experience. If you grew up with a loving father in the home, congratulations. I love that for you. But once again, that is not the case for a majority of black people. And they can tell you all day that black women chose government cheese and Section 8 as opposed to your father being there. But I'm going to tell you what was the truth for myself and 20 people that I know personally and their upbringing was the fact that for those of us where we heard our mama begging our daddy to be involved, begging our father to be around. When you got stories, the day I was born, everyone who was there talk about how my daddy showed up high and drunk as I don't know what. Everybody can't be lying. This man showed up high as a kite. But I understand that they sat there and put drugs in our community or whatever. But at the end of the day, everybody got their choices to make. And my theory on what happened was our fathers watched their fathers get spit on, disrespected, worked till their fingers was bleeding, worked to the bone, and still never had stuff, still faced discrimination, racism. And I think that once they saw their fathers go through that and then they put crack in the neighborhood, a lot of men said, F it. I'm not going to sit here and work, still get disrespected, still not have no money, still not do this. No, forget that. I'm going to go out, and in came the party era, where if you have a boomer father, that's what he wanted to do. Most of them, they want to go party and put stuff up their nose. And y'all sit here and you disrespect those of us that watch our mothers want the fathers to be involved, but they was too busy out partying with booger sugar. And then you sit there and tell us that, oh, and then when the dude is drunk, high, gone doing whatever else, and she need food in the house, then y'all say, oh, well, they said that to give you help, the man can't be in the home. No, what they're saying is if you have a grown man in the home, you shouldn't need no food stamps. You shouldn't need no, they're not saying the man cannot be there. They're saying the man cannot be there and we help you. And that's the case anytime. Even as a woman, you know, when you're single, people will help you way more than if you're married or in a relationship. If you're single, people will loan you money, help you out. If you're single, like, hey, can I get some money for my rent? Hey, I need help moving. They're going to say, where your man at? So they never said, oh, the man can't be there. It said, if we do help you, it can't be no man in that house, which means y'all can stand on your own 2 feet. You have that option. But it's very insulting for those of us that lived it. And there are so many of us, but most of us don't talk about it because we're not allowed to, because we don't want to disrespect our mom. There are so many of us. The truth is, sweetie, your daddy just did not want to be there. And to this day, he still don't want to be there. There are many of you to this day, your daddy still is not ecstatic about being your daddy, period. And then the other issue was, this is when free intercourse became a thing. So once the men got the drugs and the women started giving away free coochie, it was over with. Now the men used to have to either pay a prostitute or get married to have access to intercourse. But they sat there and put drugs in the community. The men watched their fathers work, and never get no respect. They said, forget it. The women watched their mothers dote on their father, get cheated on. He a drug addict, he an alcoholic. And she said, forget it. I ain't trying to be nobody's wife. And we forget that what we do affect the next generation. When they see how it's going for you and it's not going well, it makes them not want to take that same path. So then when you had the men say, I'm going to run away from responsibility and just have reckless sex, that's still going to end up in children being made. That is the story for many of us if you are a millennial. Your mother didn't say your father could not be there. He didn't want to be there. Now, y'all can keep telling yourself this story to make you sleep at night, but it's very insulting to those people who've been through it and watch their fathers be strung out on drugs, have addiction issues. Okay, let's keep going.
Both scapegoating each other.
Okay, that's fair.
Your analysis is feeding the gender war. It's not solving it.
Listen,
I don't mind us holding the women accountable. I don't mind us holding the men accountable.
Right?
Yeah. But when we're going to hold the system accountable as well.
That's fair.
And if we're going to hold the system accountable, that also means we got to make our own systems too. Black men have not been manly in quite some time when it comes to raising boys.
How would you suggest that black men take on the role of leadership,
especially when there's an attack on black masculinity,
without women willing to listen to us? You get what I'm saying? How do we prove our worth or take back the leadership
care of the boys
role?
You want the women back? Take care of these damn boys. They run in the hood, killing people at will, flunking out of school, following the lead of the gangster rappers. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can do that ain't got nothing to do with the women, boys and men. Do you understand? Deal with the boys and the men. Leave her out of it and go straight to the boys. And you'll get her respect back.
Yeah, I agree. Let the women deal with the women. Let the men deal with the men. Shout out to all the sisters with your foot on your sister's neck. That's real love right there. Telling your sister what she want to hear, that's fake love. We have plenty of sisters now who are speaking up and doing the work with other women. Now we need the men to go ahead and do the same. Umar got it. I agree with him. I agree with mostly everything he said on here, except the fact that women are unruly because of the men. Maybe you're a grown woman. But outside of that, I agree. That's what we got to get back to. We got too many people speaking on the other person, baby. You cannot teach a woman how to be a woman no matter what, fellas. And ladies, you can't teach a man how to be a man. If everybody get back into their own lane, we'll have less accidents.
Give them jobs, give them education, give them training, give them your time. They not getting none of that from black men. We don't give a shit about black boys. And then we're going to get mad at her for ending up with one later in life. It's ridiculous.
Like I said, we
product and get mad for her for ending up consuming the product.
She could consume whatever she wants. I'm just saying, as a black man,
it's not about her consuming whatever she wants, brother. Because if we're trying to fix the black community, everybody and everything matters. It's not individual. You're an individualist. You're not thinking as a community. Your whole analysis is based on me and her. Step out of that shit. This is systems at play. You understand?
Right.
Multiple black men screwed up. Multiple black women screwed up. You understand me? Look at the systemic nature and say, what system do we need to create as black men to prevent the Pookie and Ray Ray from coming into existence?
Yeah, I'm here for this conversation. I actually like the fact that they had opposing views. I'm actually here for the fact that, you kind of hear both sides. You hear the more educated, more logical, psychological side, and you hear the more everyday, average guy side. And I think bringing those two perspectives together is very healthy. And something very profound that Umar said that I will have to say I agree with is, yes, we have spent so much time holding the women accountable, so much time holding the men accountable. When do we hold the system accountable? That's the fact. Because that is the foundation of this. That is the root cause of all of this. We didn't ask for this. And this is why we struggle in pairing up in relationships more than anyone else, because no one else has systems in place to cause exactly what's happening to us right now, which is a divide between us as Black man and woman. We need to just start having more balance in these conversations. I'm 100% here for it. Now, speaking of accountability, speaking of women, talking to the women, ladies, if you are not in my Patreon, honey, you are missing out. It's a community of women who are solution-oriented, wanting to be their best self and refuse to be victims. You have women there, single, married, old, young, who can help you and guide you. Everyone, we have a group chat. Everyone is able to share perspective, share ideas. We have movie nights. We have outings. We just had a huge ATL, Patreon, let's take ATL back earlier this month. Everyone came to the city. We had a great time. I do get ready with me's for my show. I do my makeup, my hair. I show you all my products, tips, and tricks. I do not gatekeep. Okay. And lots of exclusive video content and behind the scenes on there as well. So it's patreon.com/Sixthegoddis. I will put that in the description. Ladies, come in death row when you're ready to do the work. When you tired of the lies, you tired of being mean and ugly, come to death row. Y'all like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and I will see y'all on the next one.